the #1 Costa Rica real estate and investment podcast, bringing you experts from all over Costa Rica.
Good afternoon, guys, and welcome to episode 194 of Costa Rica Real Estate and Investments with me, your host, Richard Beckson. Hope everyone is doing well. The wet season is now here in Costa Rica, the hot wet season, which is very weird. I was chatting with my brother today and he was like, Rich, is it hot there all year round? And I was like, yeah, pretty much. It's either hot and dry or hot and a little bit wet, but it's kind of nice that it's raining. It's brought the temperature down, and my plants in my garden have started to grow very, very well. So today, we're going to be talking with Adam Wood. He's a long-term Costa Rican resident who lives in Uvita with his family. Adam's been building and developing here in Costa Rica for many years. So today, we're going to be talking about his world of actually building and flipping. I think he's done it a couple of times now. Him and I are constantly in communication over properties that we find in the area, and he's just an all-round great guy and also loves to build as well. So it should be a great conversation. Remember, guys, if you're looking to do anything here in Costa Rica, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. In the link below is in the description below, there is actually a link you can click and organize a free consultation with us there, just to chat with us. It doesn't matter, even if you just want some information, that's fine. But just chat with us about your project or what it is that you're looking to do here in Costa Rica or any aspirations you have. And we'll just make sure that you don't step on any landmines here in Costa Rica. You can also email us info@investingcostarrica.com. That's info@investingcostarrica.com. If you remember, please, if you enjoying this podcast, to give us 5 stars, pass the pod, as we like to say, kind of share it with other people. But anyway, enough of this. Let's get straight into the podcast. Good afternoon, Adam. How are you doing?
Doing great, Richard. Thanks for having me.
Not at all, not at all. I know that you're down there in Uvita. What's the weather like at the moment?
Well, the rain is starting to come back a little bit, so we're getting some nice afternoon showers. It's starting to cool things off a little bit, so it's been nice. It's been dry up until the last few weeks, but the rain's come back and things are starting to get green again. It's really nice.
Nice. I mean, that area of the country is pretty green most of the year, but it's nice to see the waterfalls and the rivers flowing, of course.
It does, yeah. When the waterfalls start charging again, that's when we know we're really back into it. So, but yeah, it does stay green pretty much year round here for sure.
Awesome. Well, the first question I always love to start with, markets have had I would say, somewhat good start in 2024. Globally, I mean, it's not been as bad as I think people would want it to be. I mean, real estate worldwide is still kind of somewhat slow, but I mean, what are you seeing happening here in Costa Rica and specifically in Uvita?
Yeah, no, in general, I think Costa Rica is still an attractive place for investment for sure. I think after COVID, desirable, good terrain and things that kind of inspired people to be outside, it became more popular. And I think those are continuing to be more popular. So I think Costa Rica in general is still a great place to invest. And I think we're going to continue to see investment here. As far as Uvita goes, man, I've been living here around Uvita for the last probably 8, almost 10 years. Geez.
Yep.
And just the growth is incredible. I don't know the exact statistic, but I think Uvita is one of the fastest growing towns or cities in Costa Rica for sure. So yeah, I think Uvita is going to stay hot in the surrounding areas, Dominical and Ojochal. It's an attractive place. Still a lot of development right now. I think inventory has increased a little bit now. There's a little bit more in the market. And so there could be some better values out there for people looking. But overall, I definitely think Costa Rica is still an attractive place to invest in parks and money.
I'm not seeing as many price reductions in that Mamon Antonio to Ojochal stretch as I am seeing in Guanacaste. I mean, I'm getting in my inbox, probably like at least 10 a day, a fire sale. This needs that. Like, I'm not seeing that in the Mamon Antonio or Vito Ojochal area.
Not really. It's still a very desirable place to be. I think for the longest time, Guanacaste was what people knew about people that weren't very familiar with Costa Rica. If they knew anything about it, they were probably more familiar with the Guanacaste area, with Tamarindo and other places like that. And the southern Pacific zone of Costa Rica, I mean, shoot, I think we just got our first highway down here 25 years ago. And so in the grand scheme of things, that's not that long. And so it's still I don't want to say undiscovered, but there's still a lot of people out there that don't know about this area. So the more and more people visit the area, I've heard several people in the last week. I overheard this in the store the other day. They said that they were traveling around and visiting Monteverde and different places in Costa Rica. And as soon as they kind of came around and drove through Dominical and down through Uvita and down into Ojochal, they just felt like this was the place to be. And I've been hearing that a lot lately from a lot of people.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've even seen it when we've been with clients, you know, and you kind of get down there and you explain an area to them, but once they get down there, they just go, wow. I mean, I've got a client at the moment that we were up in Guanacaste looking at property for, and he was like, Rich, you know, my wife just really loves mountains and green, and I'm just a beach person. And I'm like, guys, you need to head down south. Like, that's where that area is. You know,
Yeah. Exactly. For me, I mean, just me personally, what I like to do for my extracurricular activities is to go have fun. I mean, where the mountains meet the ocean is incredible.
Yep.
And especially kind of where I live and where I built this, the last house is just a really great location to be at the beaches in 5 minutes. And then you can tear off up the back road, up the mountain, you know, in 2 minutes as well and go off for an off-road adventure. So where the mountains meet the ocean down here, it's truly a special place.
Yeah. Why did you choose Uvita to bring up children? You know, because again, you guys have got kids, you and Rachel. I know we've had Rachel on the podcast before, but I mean, why?
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people are thinking about moving down here with their kids. That's why I asked the question.
Yeah, same sort of answer to that for us is the terrain really inspires us. I think Uvita is easy to navigate. There's a lot of things that a lot of convenience here for services that we need as far as banking and pharmacies and things of that nature. We're super close to Dominical. We'd like to spend time there, so we're 15 minutes south of that and 15 minutes south of Ojochal, where our kids go to school. But as far as Uvita, as far as being our home base, we really like the fact that we're seeing more and more families move to the area. And we just like the convenience of Uvita. We like I said, we like being around the waterfalls and the mountains and the beaches, and we can be right there within a few minutes of each one. And there's lots of different school options for us. We've chosen a school option down in Ojochal called the Life Project for our kids. But I think there's another school opening up next year, and there's
Journey. You've got Journey coming in there, which is up in Guanacaste. Yeah.
Yeah, Journey's coming in. You've got the Uvita Christian Academy, Life Project, Escuela Verde, lots of different schools to choose for education. So
Definitely.
that's I think why we're seeing more and more families come down, and I don't know, it's just nice being it just feels like it's more close to a way that I grew up. I grew up in, you know, Fort Worth, Texas, kind of out in the country a little bit, and got to go to, you know, rivers and ride bikes and things like that. And I think we're seeing a little bit more of that down here in Uvita with our kids.
Well, I mean, over the past couple of years, you've been building and kind of selling properties. You know, is that a profitable endeavor? I get a lot of people, you know, from the States that kind of want to come down and do it down here. And I'm like, guys, if you don't know what you're doing here, I mean, like, yeah.
It's so yeah. In fact, I gave that question some thought because it's an important question. There's definitely opportunity here. There's definitely opportunity to build and try to create value for somebody else and make a profit on that side of it. But I've learned a lot of lessons. There's a lot of hurdles to overcome. A lot of people out there that are not completely honest with you, and that will take advantage of you on a few things. So you got to kind of earn your stripes. When those things are concerned, you need to be here. I mean, you definitely need to be here, or have a manager overlooking and overseeing your project for you, who's communicating with you throughout the process. That's what I've found to be the most value. I've built my own houses, and I've also project managed for other people, and I think everybody would say that that's been a smart investment. There's just too much opportunity for corners to be cut, details to be overlooked, the right materials to be substituted for, or the improper materials substituted for what the correct materials should be. So having somebody oversee that is, I think, very important. But as far as profitability goes, there are ways to do it. It's not quite as easy as I think we all would like it to be.
Well, I mean, I think it starts with getting land at good value, right? Meaning that a lot of the time the money is made on the way in on the land price. Because if you're paying a premium for the land price, once you put it in with the build, because it costs the same to build anywhere. I mean, if you build in Oaxaca or build in Uvita or build in Mount Antonio, the cost is the same basically.
Building costs are starting to regulate, but you're exactly right. Finding good value on land, finding land that you can create value that maybe somebody doesn't see, something that's full of trees or a view or something like that. That's really where you can create a bigger margin for yourself. One of the things that I think people tend to overlook sometimes is just the cost in preparing that land. Sometimes it could be more expensive than what you anticipate. I've been on that side of the fence before too, where you think something's going to be $5,000, at the end of the day it's 10 or 12, and in the grand scheme of things, those numbers can affect your project for sure.
How profitable as a percentage would you say that the building and then selling would be? What would you say as a percentage? Is it 10, 15, 20, 25?
No, I think you should be shooting to make 20%. Yep. I think if you make 20, 25% on a deal, you've done well. If you net 15 on it, you've done well as well. I don't know if I'd put much more effort into it if I was going to make a 10% profit.
Yep.
And there's just too many things that have started to kind of you need to be aware of that will affect your sale price and what you actually end up netting on the deal. So having a good spreadsheet and figuring out and projecting those numbers is a good tool to have and good tool to use before you make the leap.
Definitely. What are some of the mistakes that you've made, if you don't mind me asking, on the way? I mean, you mentioned one there about infrastructure costs, which is something that's just overlooked sometimes. Sometimes people just take the square meterage of a house and multiply it by X dollars, whereas
Exactly. In fact, me and my crew were right in the middle of sorting that out right now for our next build that we're going to do for a client. Yep. On paper, we have a certain set of instructions, certain set of plans, but then you have conversations with the client, and they have a whole different sort of vision for what their house is. And so one of the mistakes that I've made before is basically kind of over promising on costs. And basically telling people, hey, based on what we think you can get this done for, yep, in hindsight, it's always a little bit more expensive. So those types of things, underestimating costs of project has been one mistake that I've made, and I learned that quickly. So now we're much more diligent on how we price these things out. But really, for me, subcontractors has been one of the biggest pains for me, and specifically wood subcontractors.
Yep.
It's hard to get really dry wood, and wood is a very popular material to use for design down here for ceilings and cabinets and things like that. It does have its pros and cons. But on the couple of projects that I did that they required wood, that was one of the things that caught me off guard, was how much the cost of good quality wood, teak, laurel, things like that has increased. And then the mano de obra, the labor that goes along with that, has increased as well. So I did make a mistake underestimating wood costs and the amount of time that the wood was going to take. And that necessarily wasn't my mistake. That's a subcontractor telling me they need 3 months when in reality they need 6 or 7.
Yep.
So yeah, I think now I've learned enough to where I always take what a subcontractor says, and then I add my own little buffer to that, because that's just kind of the way things are in Costa Rica. If they say something's going to be done in 2 weeks, you should probably go ahead and plan that it might be 3 or 4. And then if they get it done in 2 weeks, you're doing great, but you've already planned for that sort of delay. So I think that's been one of the hurdles that I've had to overcome.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I mean, we manage usually around about 25, 30 projects at the same time. And I always find that these tasks that are contingent on another one, like where one has to be finished in order for another to start, is where things just go wrong. Like, if it's just one thing I'm waiting on, that's fine. Like I can kind of play with that. But where, I don't know, for the window and doors guy to come and measure X, Y needs to be done. Like I need that X, Y to be done for that guy to turn up. And then his lead time and lag time, etc. On a project, then it can sometimes just delay project. And we had a project recently, which again was wood, where the company it was outsourced to, and we're not the constructor. We just oversee the constructor and represent the owner of, like, I had to go into the wood company, basically actually act as the owner, only speaking English and just chew these guys out to get it done. But it was like, and they still turned up 2 months late. But it's all that lead time that they needed. They needed the windows and doors to be done in order to be able to come in and install the wood, which meant it was like delay on top of delay.
Exactly. And so in the last project that I had, I think that those exact sort of things probably ended up costing me in all probably around 4 to 6 weeks, just waiting and just balancing those things out. And so that has definitely been something. When you first start a project, when the guys are laying the block and building the bones of the project, that's all pretty straightforward. Yep. But then, like you said, when you start bringing in the different subcontractors and trying to manage all that, that's where a manager really is worth his money to sort through all of those things. And I think I've earned my stripes when it comes to that. So I'm very hopeful that the next few projects are going to go smooth. I do now. One of the biggest things too, I'd like to mention is just relationships too. Like the more you do this, you'll build relationships with people you want to work with and that want to work with you, and you'll kind of sift through the guys that aren't really dialed into what you want. And I think I'm getting to that point now, which is nice.
Awesome. Let's talk about your most recent project. Tell us about it. Like, why did you do it? Was it a good investment? Any of the numbers kind of around it, just so that people can kind of understand a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So same sort of thing. I was looking for a good value on land. There were some bigger properties that I was looking at to maybe improve land, create value, flip some land sort of thing. In the end, I decided to build a house. I ended up building a 3-bedroom, 2.5-bath concrete block house, kind of in the center of Uvita. The idea was to build it for a family to enjoy. I'm pretty fortunate to where I kind of have a plan A, B, and C. I can build this for an investment, and hopefully somebody comes along and loves it and can enjoy it. And if not, me and my family will go and enjoy it as well. That's another thing that I have to take into consideration. Being from the United States wants to tax your worldwide income. So it's funny. My tax situation here in Costa Rica is actually easier to deal with than the United States. So there's some things to consider around capital gains and things like that whenever you are investing or building for yourself or things like that. But yeah, so I built Casa Negra. It's a 3-bedroom, 2.5-bath house, concrete block, a nice little cul-de-sac right around the corner from restaurants, bars, not loud bars, lounges. That was important to me. I didn't want to put anything in an area where it was going to be super loud. That just doesn't vibe with families for me. So that's what I see envisioning buying Casa Negra as a family that wants to kind of be in the middle of everything, but be a 5-minute drive from the beach and the mountains and walking distance to the waterfalls and rivers, and just enjoy it. And not I've lived up top of the mountain. I've lived 3 kilometers up the mountain before. And now with kids, we're very happy to be down in town. It just makes things a little bit easier for us. So I decided to build what I like and what I want. And if somebody else really loves it, I'd love to sell it to them.
Yeah. Why do you think, because I always, whenever I build or develop stuff, I always like to make sure there's enough meat on the bone, if that makes sense, that I'm not just maxing it out to, and I'll give you an example. I bought some land in El Hachao. I developed it. I ended up selling it to my clients. But why did they buy it? Because the land that I sold for 150, everywhere else was 200 or 220. And they were like, well, Rich, why is it 150? And I'm like, because I'm not greedy. And also there needs to be enough meat on the bone for everyone, if that makes sense. Meaning that they feel they've got a deal so that next time when they sell it, they do well as well.
Yeah, exactly. One of the things that I'm actually trying to navigate here is the real estate market, the real estate agents, the commissions, and how all of those things work here. We have several bigger agencies here, and they all do things kind of the same way. But yeah, that's the That's the idea. There's got to be enough meat on the bone for everybody to be able to eat, essentially. And so, yeah, you want to build out a good value. What I tried to do, I really negotiated my mano de obra with my crew.
Yeah.
And we have more jobs coming up, so that was a tool that I had in my belt to negotiate with them. So I did pretty good on my mano de obra with them. And I just shopped my materials. I did all the shopping for everything. So I would get a material list from my partner Enrique, the builder, and I would shop those materials, and that's really how you end up creating a little bit better value for yourself.
Okay.
So yeah.
Adam, if you don't mind me asking, how much are you selling the property for?
The house is listed right now for 495,000.
Yep.
And I think that is one of the better values here in Uvita right now, especially for this type of construction that I have. I have a solid concrete block construction, hard solid core Laurel doors, really nice finishes, convenient location that's quiet. And a lot of the other houses that I'm competing against right now, not many of them are concrete block. They're more of a prefab PVC ceiling. I did all natural teak ceilings. I just really like to build. It doesn't have to be an incredibly big, extravagant house, in my opinion, to be finished out tastefully, and that's what I tried to do.
I agree. Well, I mean, I know that market, and that is a great price for it. I've actually seen the house, from the outside. I haven't seen it inside. I drove past it the other day, Adam, and was like, wow, that's a beautiful house. So congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much. And we're going to be adding more curb appeal. Like I said, the rain has come back now, so there's going to be a lot of plants that are going in probably next week. We got some more blinds installed, so the house is pretty much ready to go for somebody to move in and start enjoying it. So we're going to put it out there on the market and see how it goes.
Awesome. What would be the one piece of advice you'd give to listeners when looking to invest in Costa Rica?
Decide what you're trying to achieve. I think decide what you really want to do. Like, are you investing into Costa Rica because you want to eventually retire here and you want to live here and this is where you want to be? Are you investing into Costa Rica because you think the market's hot and you're going to flip it pretty fast and make a profit? I think that's one of the most important things. I don't anticipate properties losing value here. We may go kind of stagnant for a while, depending on world economics and world events and things like that. But I think we're pretty steady right now, and Costa Rica has become a real desirable place. So, yeah,
I think that's a great response, because again, a lot of times I'm asking people, okay, is this pure investment? Is there some lifestyle in it? Is it pure lifestyle? The reason being is it's so easy to get swept away with the beauty of this country. And I mean, if you're making an investment for an investment reason, like, you can lose all of that logic very quickly because stuff is just so beautiful here.
100%, exactly, and that's why I think there's a lot of value in your podcast and in what you're doing, and for your listeners out there to learn and kind of just understand what it's really like. I have several friends that have done really well down here. They've made money, but it's all been about timing.
Yep.
Right. The timing has just been perfect for them, and they did great. Timing can throw you off down here, especially right now with what's going on with exchange rates, the dollar to the colony right now, and timing is important, I believe, as well for investing into Costa Rica. But again, the timing tip kind of depends on what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah. Well, it's going to get better. I'm in a group with economists, and it already increased a little bit today, and they think that over the next coming rest of the year will improve slightly. I don't think we're going to see, it's not going to shoot back up into the 600s, but I think we'll probably be looking around the 515, 520 mark probably by the end of the year, which is better than nothing, but it's not, the 680 it used to be.
Yeah, that's definitely good news for sure, and that is something to pay attention to as well. Is that exchange and how that fluctuates, and you can save yourself some money if you can play that the right way.
Yeah. We structure a lot of our contracts with that inside, so that, like, again, if there's a plus and minus, it doesn't become a win-lose situation for parties. It's always a win-win or it's a lose-lose, because I don't think that, especially, it's a partnership when you build a house with whoever, as you said there with you, Enrique, your builder, like, it's a partnership.
Exactly. And as a matter of fact, to speak to Enrique's character, he's actually the one who came and tapped me on the shoulder a few months ago and was like, "Hey, we need to talk about this exchange rate." I know I'm getting clobbered. So it's really good to have a good career like that.
I agree. Well, Adam, my last question for you, sir, which I love to ask everyone: if you inherited $500,000 and had to invest into a business or real estate in Costa Rica, what would you invest in and why?
Yeah. Okay. So I think I'll stick with kind of what my expertise is. I think what I would do, I would look for a really nice piece of land, maybe that has some unforeseen value that you can kind of create some value there. I would build a small guest house on that on that piece of land, and get the primo plantel ready to build, and get the design for the main house designed and ready, and maybe try to flip the land with the casita on it with the plan for the main house. I think I saw somebody do that earlier this year, and it really worked out well. Sometimes there's a buyer that wants to be on site, that wants to live here on site while their house is being built, and so they can be living in the casita that they have right there. Or it gives somebody the opportunity to buy something, enjoy their casita, their smaller house for a while, and then in the future build their bigger dream home. That's what I think I would do. If I had $500K to invest, I'd find me a piece of land, create value, and try to do that.
Cool. That's a great answer. I think that's the first time that we've had that answer, which is to, build the casita. I mean, because some people could live in the casita while building the main house as well.
Yeah, and building takes time, and you want it to be done right. So there's definitely some different scenarios that could be to your advantage in that scenario.
Definitely. Well, Adam, really appreciate your time and sharing your knowledge here in the podcast. I'll put all of your contact details in the description down below if anyone wants to reach out to you. But thanks very much.
Great. Thank you so much, Richard. I appreciate it.
No worries. Have a good day.
All right, you too. Ciao.
Hope you enjoyed that podcast there with Adam Wood. Adam's a developer, project manager down there in Uvita. I've known him for a while. We played golf together. Just a great guy. And again, as got his stripes the hard way, as a lot of us actually have done here in Costa Rica. But if you want to reach out to Adam, all of his contact details are there in the description. I think he's overbuilt that house. It's absolutely beautiful, but I say he's overbuilt it just because it's got teak roofs and it's just very well done. And I've seen a lot of houses in that area in that $400,000 to $500,000 mark, and this is by far a lot nicer. And probably that investment will return, 7 to 10% per year. Plus, also you get a place to come down to Costa Rica, and its location is great. I mean, you can literally walk around to local restaurants, and there are some pretty cool. It's very crunchy down there, which is for a lot of people. They very much like that. There's brew pubs and those kind of things. So. Well, guys, remember, if you need anything in Costa Rica, feel free to reach out to us. We've helped many of you relocate here, build here, develop here. We do investments ourselves. We also run an investment fund. We've got some projects coming up in now with some investment opportunities. So feel free to reach out to us, info@investingcostarica.com. That's info@investingcostarica.com. All of our contact details are also in the description down below. If you like the podcast, please, again, recommend us, give us thumbs up. But until the next podcast, guys, we'll see you later. Bye.
The #1 Costa Rica real estate and investment podcast, bringing you experts from all over Costa Rica.